Hi everyone, we're back for part two of the book about India. So in this part, we're going to learn about the last three chapters. Let's see. We're going to do the land, celebrations, history, and animals. Okay, so here we have the land. Land. The Himalayas form India's northern border. They are the highest mountains in the world and they're cut off India from the rest of Asia. This is why India is sometimes called a subcontinent. So the Himalayan mountains are here in the north and they separate India from the rest of the Asian continent. Let me get the map here. A low-lying plain stretches across the northern India. This rich land was formed long ago as rivers flooded and left soil behind. The Thar Desert is in western India. So I want to point out on the map, we have the plain. Plains are that flat land like we have in the Midwest that's very good for growing crops. And the plain was created by the Ganges River. And then there's the desert is over in the west. It's called the Thar Desert. This caption says the Ganges River is sacred to Hindus who often bathe in its waters. The Ganges and the Indus rivers lie in the northern plains of India. For Hindus, the Ganges is a sacred river. Hindus from all over India travel to the river to enter its waters. South of the Indus and Ganges River lies raised land that takes up more than half of India and includes low hills as well as the coast. So people go in here for religious reasons. They go and bathe in the Ganges River. In India, they also call the Ganges the Ganga. That's its name in Hindi language. Now we're going to learn about the monsoons. In May or June every year, rain-bearing winds blow northward from the Indian Ocean, bringing the monsoon season. During this season, rain falls almost every day in the afternoon. Most of India's rains fall during this hot, wet season. So in May and June, it's super, super, super rainy, and that it helps out. It helps the crops, but also it's like really, really hot and wet. So if you're going to travel to India, most people do not travel there in May and June because it is very, very wet. Let's learn a little bit about the cultural celebrations. This caption says Diwali is a festival of lights that honors the Hindu goddess of wealth. Celebrations. People in India celebrate many special days. Diwali is a festival that lasts for 5 days. During this time, people light small candles. They shoot firecrackers and give sweets and other gifts to friends and family. If you were in my class in trimester 1, you'll remember we learned about Diwali and we had a party for Diwali and Tihar. Tihar is the Nepali holiday, and Diwali is practiced more in India. Holi is a spring Hindu celebration known as the Festival of Colors. During Holi, people celebrate the end of winter. They throw colored water and powder, such as one called kumkum, on each other. Children enjoy using water guns filled with colored water to spray colors on their friends. People also sing, dance, and enjoy special food and drinks. So in Nepali Club, right before spring break, we celebrated Holi. We had some of the colors and put it on each other, put it on our foreheads. We wanted to go outside and get really colorful, but it was raining that last day before spring break, so we couldn't go outside. But you can see that people get like super colorful. The caption says, during Holi, many children also throw water balloons filled with colored water at each other. That sounds really fun. I hope I could do that someday. History. India's civilization is very old. About 2,300 years ago, people living in the land now known as India had been united under one ruler. About 1,300 years ago, Muslims invaded India and set up a kingdom with Delhi at its center. Muslim rule lasted until the 1600s. Europeans had arrived in India as early as 1498. That's when Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama sailed to India. By 1854, Great Britain had taken control of the country. So I'm going to pause. India's history is so long and very complex. So let's just think what we just learned. So 2,300 years ago, India was brought together and ruled by one ruler. And then once Islam was created, the Muslim people came and invaded India and took over India, and they made Delhi its center. I don't know if you remember, but from the other screencast, we learned that New Delhi is the capital. So that happened, like Delhi got to be the capital once the Muslim people invaded it and decided like that's going to be the capital area. The Muslims were ruling India until the 1600s, and then the Europeans also came. And what's really important for their history is that in 1858, Great Britain took control. So England took control. And I say that's important because lots of parts of Indian culture and British culture kind of mixed during the time that Great Britain was colonizing different countries. So that's a key part of their history, is that they were colonized by Great Britain, and Great Britain ruled the country for several decades. Let's continue reading, and let's learn how the British people got kicked out of India and how India got independent from the British people. In the 1920s, a lawyer named Mohandas Gandhi began asking his fellow Indians to resist British rule, but not with fists or weapons. He asked them to protest British rule in a non-violent or peaceful way. By 1947, India was free. Since then, India has faced wars, poverty, and the strain of a growing population, but it continues to develop. In 2007, it elected its first woman to serve president. So let's back up in the history. The text says by 1858, Great Britain took control of the country, and then by 1947, so 90 years later, India was free. So Britain ruled India for about 90 years. And they traded a lot with India, especially tea. Some of the sports were influenced by each other. So India's been independent since 1947. Okay, we're going to wrap it up with animals. Of course, we have to learn about the critters in India. So here we have monkeys are a common sight in cities such as Delhi because people regularly feed them. And then here, the cobra spreads its hood when it's alarmed. So in India, you'll see lots of monkeys and even some snakes. The text says, India's wildlife includes many exciting species. India is the only country in the world with both lions and tigers. It's also the home of two kinds of leopards. The snow leopard of the Himalayas is very rare. One of India's most famous reptiles is the cobra. The Indian cobra hunts small animals such as rats and mice. It has been known to bite humans because its prey often lives in towns and villages. I'm going to move myself up here a little bit to the top. Okay. The Indian elephant is very strong. Oh, remember the elephant that we saw on the cover page? So now we're talking about the elephant. The Indian elephant is very strong. People once used it to lift logs in India's forests and to carry crops and people. Some people still use the elephant to help them with their work. Today, wild Indian elephants are found in most parts of India, but they are endangered because of their loss of habitat. Near the Bay of Bengal, the mangrove forests provide a special habitat for sea turtles, sharks, and crocodiles. This saltwater swamp is also the largest home of Bengal tigers in the world. Let's scroll down to see the Bengal tiger. Ooh, wow. A male Bengal tiger can grow up to 3 meters, 10 feet in length, and weigh as much as 230 kilograms. So that's 500 pounds. Whoa. The tigers often swim in the waters of the swamp to catch their prey. The Bengal tiger is an endangered animal. Scientists are working hard to protect it. Very cool. Now we're at our conclusion, and we have a picture of three beautiful Indian women here. The text says, India is a land of many ancient customs, such as the wearing of long, colorful cloth called a sari. India has a long history and a very large, diverse population. It's a country trying to find a balance between caring for its people and maintaining its natural beauty. Fascinating animals and interesting people make India a unique country with much to learn about. Okay. On this last page, we see some facts about India. We have the flag here. In the middle is a wheel. It's called a chakra, and it's a wheel supposed to represent a wheel with many, many spokes. We have orange, white, and green. The population is 1,236,344,631 people as of the date that this book was written. I'm sure the population has increased since then. The capital city is New Delhi. The primary language is called Hindi. There's several hundreds of languages spoken in India, but the main one that most people speak is Hindi. The primary religion is Hinduism, and the currency is the rupee, so the money that they use is the rupee. And it looks like this. On here we have a picture of Gandhi. We learned about him earlier in the text. He was the nonviolent leader who helped India become free from British rule. And then we have some of the vocabulary words have their definitions here. So for example, we have Hindu. Hinduism is a religion in India that includes many gods and the belief in reincarnation. So they believe once you die, you come back as another person or perhaps an animal or a plant. And so you're reborn again and again. Another word is monsoon, a seasonal storm that brings heavy rain to an area. And there's the other words that were listed in bold. Okay, I'm going to go back to the top. So we started with part one, looking at this picture of an elephant. I'm going to leave it there for you. What you're going to do is you'll have a chance to think about how does India's large population affect its environment and people. And then why is the monsoon season important to India's environment and people? So that's what we'll be discussing. All right, have a great day.